If you're looking for a new MMO to play or just follow along, then you may want to consider Chrono Odyssey. I was able to jump in pretty deep with the recent closed beta test and learn a little bit more about what this game has to offer. And honestly, it's probably the closest game out there that gave me the look and feel that New World Eternum gave me. Now, keep in mind too that there are tons and tons of updates that will be happening to this game. The footage that I will be sharing will likely alter during the next closed beta test. And the overall launch of this game is currently expected to be late 2026. And again, we know how this goes. It's very possible that it gets pushed back further. But again, in regards to whether or not Chrono Odyssey is worth playing, maybe that answer can't get answered today. However, we have enough footage to kind of get a good idea of the direction they are headed. So let's just take a closer look at how Chrono Odyssey is today and where they may be headed tomorrow. Chrono Odyssey does follow a class based system. So essentially, whenever you actually create your character in this game, you have the option of selecting one of six different classes. I'll go ahead and just show you what it looked like in the closed beta test here. But essentially, you'll see the six different types of classes, and each of these classes have three different weapons that you can utilize. Essentially, you can choose two out of these three weapons to use in combat, and that's kind of where the build diversity comes with this game. There's also tons of different perks and weapon types and things like that that you can kind of play around with. But essentially, the whole idea of these different classes are the different skills you can have associated with the different weapons that class has to offer. The different classes you have to choose from include the swordsman, ranger, paladin, berserker, sorcerer, and assassin. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Berserker, but again, depending on your overall gameplay style, will determine which class you want to move forward with. The game seemed to really kind of reward just open world exploration, where you can level up by killing random mobs in the open world, either solo or with some friends. You can do some crafting, some gathering, things like that. And although there is not a direct MSQ in this game, there are things called Chrono Gate bosses, where essentially it's a one on one, in depth battle where you can defeat a Chrono Gate, which will then unlock a new ability in your Chronotector. More on that down the road. But essentially, you are leveling up your character and preparing yourself for these very in depth, hardcore one on one boss battles. During the closed beta test, there were a total of 4 Chrono Gate bosses you could play, and each one was actually a lot of fun. Each had their unique battle mechanics and just different battle scenario, and you actually had to go out and level up and revisit them in some cases just because of how challenging they were. One thing that really made me think about New World for this game was the overall gathering system. Similar to New World, you can pick up a handful of different tools like a sickle or a logging axe or maybe like a pickaxe, even a fishing pole, and then explore the open world and actually use the tools to gather raw materials. No, I don't think it felt as clean and as amazing as New World does, but again, I think it was pretty darn close, especially when compared to other MMOs out there. If you enjoyed the video so far, consider hitting that like and subscribe button to follow along in the development of Chrono Odyssey. Speaking of gathering resources, essentially the main reason on why you want to do it is either to sell it on the marketplace to make some gold, or of course, use the resources to craft into other items. For example, if you gather a bunch of herbs and berries, you can craft health potions and mana potions and things like that, which will just help you out in your open world adventures, whether it be PvE or PvP related content. Something a bit unique that Chrono Odyssey had were bounty boards, where you essentially had to hunt down specific bosses in order to take down, slice off their head, and then return it for a handful of rewards. These rewards also included some unique currency that you could use to get some pretty rare crafting materials and just improve your overall gear to pack a harder punch and take a harder hit. So here's just an example. And again, what's pretty cool is that you can actually team up with some friends to take down these different bounty board bosses. The combat system in Chrono Odyssey is action based just like it was in New World Eternum. And honestly, it felt good. I mean, here's some gameplay of me as a berserker. You can see I've got 4 skills per weapon, so a total of 8 different skills there. And there's just a handful of different combos and builds that you can utilize for every single archetype out there, which just makes it pretty cool and unique. And I had a lot of fun playing it. Pair that action based combat with some unique PvE twists and dungeons and mazes, kind of like these things, and even open world bosses. It really does kind of pull it all together and just feel pretty good. There's also a flagging system where you can essentially flag for PvP in the open world. And honestly, I had a ton of fun. During the closed beta test, not a ton of people ended up doing it, but I did have a few encounters and it just felt really, really good. The time to kill was not insanely fast, and it seemed very, very skill based, which is exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to PvP in an MMO. Similar to most MMOs, there is a in-depth gearing and inventory system. Here's just a quick example of what the different types of gear look like, but essentially every piece has a certain attribute towards it, different types of defenses, and also perks. And you can kind of mix and match different perks to work together for certain builds that you're looking for. The stats on these items scale as the equipment score increases, similar to the gear score system in New World. One of the most unique things in the combat is that you can technically manipulate time in combat. You have a cooldown right in the center, right there where that arrow is pointing, where you can essentially use your Chronotector ability. In some cases, you can summon a Chrono Gate boss to help you in the battle you're in. You can teleport to certain locations you were at previously a few seconds ago to kind of help your overall positioning in combat. And there's a handful of other Chronotector abilities, and likely more coming in the future, that can just really put a unique twist to overall combat. Here's an example of some of the other Chronotector abilities, but essentially you can view this as like your ultimate move. There is a long cooldown, but it is cool because you can use it for both PvE and PvP content, which really just mixes up the overall battle scene. I can go on and on and on about some of the other features that Chrono Odyssey has, but it's important to note that this is currently just some footage from the closed beta test. The team does plan on doing some major changes, it sounds like, and the overall current plan in regards to the official launch of Chrono Odyssey will likely be in Q4 of 2026. Things may change down the road, who knows, but regardless, this is definitely a game I'm going to be keeping an eye on just because I think it does look pretty promising and it does seem to have the look and feel of New World, which is something I already miss. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting that like and subscribe because I've got a whole lot more content headed your way soon. Thanks again. Bye.